We're now continuing the story of Moses and the burning bush. Moses and the burning bush. As you remember, we left our hero, Moses, after he had run away from Pharaoh's house where he had been brought up, and he was apprehended, having loyalty to the Jews, because he saved the life of one Jew that was being beaten up, and two other Jews informed on him, Datan and Aviram, and Moshe was given over to be beheaded, and his neck miraculously turned into marble, and he evaded the sword, death, and he ran away. He ran away to Midian, and in Midian he met up with the daughters of Yitro, who Yitro had fallen from grace. He was like the high priest of idolatry, and he had started having his doubts about the validity of idolatry, and he ran away. He became rejected by everybody, and as a result, his daughters had problems watering the sheep, and Moses came and he saved them. And Yisro said, Yitro, that says his name was, because it's a few other names. Ruel says, in any case, it says over there that he had several names. Yitro had several names. So he gets married to Yitro's daughter, and he's grazing the sheep. So now Moses has run away from Egypt, and he is now married. He has a son called Gershom, and of course his wife converted, and he's grazing the sheep, unassumingly, humbly grazing the sheep. All of a sudden he sees a fire in the middle of the desert, and it's burning. Where is this whole thing happening? It's happening on Mount Sinai. So he says, well, that's pretty weird, a fire in the middle of the desert. Well, where did that come from? And it's burning this bush, and the bush, it looks and sees the bush is not being consumed. So he goes over to this bush, and he says, wants to see what's happening. So God says to him, take your shoes off. You're standing in a holy place. The land, it didn't remain holy, but it's going to be holy. It's called the mountain of God because God is going to appear there. And interestingly enough, the place did not remain holy. Right? The Mount Sinai is not a holy site in Judaism. Okay, but nevertheless, that's where the burning bush is. And God says, take off your shoes because the place where you're standing is a holy place. And God says to him, I am God. We did this yesterday. God, I am God. I am God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I once saw a comedian. It's not nice to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I saw a comedian. Somebody showed me that he did this comedy act, an Israeli. And God says, take off your shoes. And it says the place is called Har Chorev. Mount Sinai is called Chorev because it's so tremendously hot there. So God says to Moses, take off your shoes. I'm going to tell you a message. And now you're going to see this tremendously long message that God gives him. It's like 30 sentences long. It's really long. So this comedian, it was like he took his shoes off and God was speaking to him. And the message just goes on and on. You're going to see. And finally, he just can't take it anymore. His feet are like really hot and he runs away. All right, not funny. I laughed at the time, but I still remember it. Anyway, so here we go. So maybe we can say that was another miracle that Moses was able to stand barefooted and listen to this message. Listen, the message is very long. Vayomer, God said, Anochi Elokei Avicha, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham. Now, who is Moses' father? Moses' father, interestingly enough, was Amram. And he says over there that it simply means I am God of your fathers, but it says singular. It should say the God of your fathers. So here, where is it that he said that God, here, listen to this. It says the rabbis say that God called to him in the language and the sound of his father's voice, of Amram's voice. And when he said, "Here I am," God said, "This is not your father, but this is the voice of God." Wanted to break it to him little by little. Why was he calling in the name of his father? Why? So you'll see in a second. It says over here 4 times the name Elokai. This is where we're learning the Kli Ykar. 4 times the name Elokai. Let's see, does this over here? Yeah. Oh, here we go. Here it says. Let's go look at the sentence. 4 times. Elokay 1 time, Elokay 2 times, Elokay 3 times, Elokay 4 times. Why does it say that? He says 4 times. It says Dalit 4 times Elokay. This corresponds to the 4 languages of redemption that's going to be, we'll learn next week's Torah portion. Hotzeti, Itzalti, Koalti, Lakachti. Some people say that therefore he mentioned the God of your father, Amram. Why? Because he wanted to tell him that his father was dead. Because God does not unite his name with someone that's still alive. There was unusual case was with Yitzchak, but the Yitzchak was blind. He said that. So he called Elokei Yitzchak because he was blind at the time and he was still alive. But why did he have to tell him that his father was dead? Why? Because in other words, by saying Elokei Avicha, the God of your father, he knew that his father was dead because God doesn't unite his name with someone who's still alive, right? So he said, why? Because if Moses knew that his father was still alive, he would really refuse to go. His father is more holy than I am. Amram was like the tzaddik of the whole generation, it says. Even because why do we say that? Because Moses, even in front of his brother was still alive. Moses did not want to go. This brother was older than him. And Moses said, I'm not going to go send Aaron. But we're going to see in a second. How much more so he wouldn't want to go if his father was alive. So therefore, that's what the Kli Ykar says. God said, I have seen the humility, the suffering of the people of my people in Egypt, and their screams I have heard because of their taskmasters, no ksav. And I know their pain. I know the pain of the Jewish people. I know their pain. Why does he have to stay 2 times? I'm sorry. All right. Oh, here it is. 2 times I saw this, because this is the OrHaChaim. Why does it say Ra'ei Ra'isi? I have seen, I have seen. I see, I have seen. What does it mean? See. Why twice? It said because there were 2 reasons the Jewish people were suffering. Number 1, they had already refined all of the sparks of holiness. Remember, we learned about it in Hasidut class. The sparks of holiness, and there's no reason to remain in exile. Like it says, V'yinatzlu et Mitzrayim, that they emptied out Egypt like a trap that has no more, like a fish, a net that has no more fish in it, and like a silo that has no more wheat in it. Like a silo with no wheat, and like a net that has no more fish. Also, that's number 1 reason for them not to stay. And another reason is because if the Jews would have stayed in Egypt longer, then they would have become defiled, just like the Egyptians were. They were just about to lose it, all the Jews. So it's time to take them out. God said, I am going to come down and save to save the Jewish people from the Egyptians. And I will elevate the Jewish people from the land to the land, the good land and wide land, to the land that is flowing milk and honey, the place of the Canaani, the Chiti, Amori, Prizi, Hachivi, Vahayavusi. This is only the 7 nations, and God promised Abraham 10 nations. So until Mashiach comes, they're only going to get these 7. That's what he said. What does it mean, the land of milk and honey? What type of a thing is that? But to say milk and honey, you suffered so long in Egypt just for milk and honey. I mean, some people don't like milk, and there's other people that don't like honey. A lot of people don't like honey. So he said, milk and honey, the Sforno says, it means that you're going to have a lot of they say sheep and animals, a lot of livestock, and a lot of food, and it'll be pleasant, and it'll be a beneficial place. Like it says, eating, and these are metaphors. Honey means the best of food. No fet mitzok, it'll be sweet and good. And there was a good and sweet land. That's what he wants to say. It'll be flowing. The cows and the sheep will have a lot of milk because it'll be so plentiful there. Now, listen, God says, the screams of the Jewish people have come to me, and I've seen the pressure which the Egyptians are pressuring them. That's what he means, to say that now God is saying, this is the Ramban, I will take revenge on Paro, because true, I decreed on the Jews that they should suffer in Egypt, but he's giving them more suffering than I decreed. Paro was giving them more more punishment than I decreed on the Jewish people. Remember when God spoke to Abraham, he said that the Jewish people are going to be servants to you, to a strange nation. They're going to be servants. So there was supposed to be, God's how much suffering there was supposed to be. Paro was Mahadrin min Mahadrin. He really made them suffer. Balachatz Gadol, that he put too much pressure on the Jewish people, more than was ordained by God. Like I explained before, etc. Explained it elsewhere. Now, Lacha, go, says to Moses. Okay, Moses, I'm going to take the Jewish people out. Moses said, all right, taking the Jewish people out, that's only wonderful. God said, okay, that's only the first half. This is the second. You got to do it. You have to go to Paro. I'm going to send you to Paro, and you're going to take my people, the Jewish people, from Egypt. You're going to do it. The Im Tomar, if you want to say, Rashi, what's it going to help? How can I take all my Jewish people? How can I say, don't worry about it. Your words will take the Jewish people out. Moses, you're going to convince Paro. Moses said to God, who am I? I'm going to go to Paro. I'm going to take the Jews out of Egypt. Are you serious? I mean, God, you got the wrong address. I am definitely not the one to do this job. Rashi, what am I worth? The daber, that I'm going to speak to kings? Who am I? And I'm going to take the Jews out of Egypt. And even if I was important, what are the merit of the Jewish people that you should do a miracle for them and take them out of Egypt? I know what's going on with the Jews over there. It's true that they're suffering, but I mean, they haven't got any amazing, merits. There's not any reason to take them out. There's a lot of suffering in the world. Why stop? Paro's not going to listen. He's getting too much use out of the Jewish people. I see. Okay. Here, OrHaChaim says, I'm not anyone. The same thing. Even if it is afilu b'shlichus she'ein hefech ratzono ki eini chashuv l'daber livnei melech. Even if this is what the king wants, even if I'm not trying to change his mind, even if he wants to send the Jewish people, I'm not the one to speak in front of a king. All of my efforts, he's not going to believe that you sent me. You're just sending me into a danger. Maybe he sees me, even if he wants to send the Jewish people out, he's going to change his mind, right? God, listen, you're sending me. It's a big mistake. Look at what, for instance, what Shmuel said. It says that the prophet Shmuel was given a message by God to go to King Saul. And Shmuel said, I don't want to do it. Saul will kill me. Saul was a holy tzaddik. So it comes out that a person won't believe in prophecy because of the lowness of the person who's being sent. Like Amos, the prophet Amos said, that he said, everyone in the generation, they're all going to make fun of me. They know that I'm just a person like them. So he said, I'm going to take the Jewish people out. There's no way. You have to send a great person, a person that's well known, that he has a big merit. He figured, V'chash shemi yaret takala. He thought maybe something bad will happen because you're sending me, right? Even if Paro wanted to, he'll change his mind and he'll say no. This is why, because of his humility. Who am I? God said back to him, Vayomer ki yeimcha, I'm going to be with you. And this is going to be the sign that I am sent you to take the Jewish people out of Egypt. You're going to serve God on this mountain. What does it mean? It's a long Rashi. And what Rashi essentially says is, I'm giving you two merits. Merit number one is, the reason I'm taking the Jewish people out is because I want to give them the Torah on this mountain. On this mountain. That's number. So you have the merit of taking them out of Egypt. Another one is the sign, and then I'm going to take you out. It says that Moshe saw, he said, what's the sign that you're going to send? Here, look at this burning bush. The bush is doing what I want him to. The bush is burning up. And it's against the nature of a bush to be burned up and not to be consumed. But I'm doing it. The bush is burning and it's not consumed. The same thing with you, Moshe. Telech b'shlichoti, go in my, this is Rashi, go in my, do the job, what I'm telling you to do. Go on the mission that I'm sending you, and you will not be harmed. Moses said, what type of merit did the Jewish people got that they're going to go out of Egypt? That's what you asked. God said, I got a big thing, because behold, in the future, they're going to receive the Torah on this mountain at the end of 3 months, 50 days, that they're going to go out of Egypt. A bit of the first month and the whole second month and the little bit of the third month. Right, because they got out of Egypt in the middle of Nisan, and then they were traveling in the desert all of Iyar, and then the next month on the 6th day of Sivan, I'm going to be with you. This is the sign that you're going to succeed. Here is the sign that I'm promising you. I'm promising that when you take the Jewish people out of Egypt, you're going to serve me on this mountain. Now, this is a very basic thing, that the Jewish people were taken out of Egypt to become the servants of God. You're going to receive the Torah on this mountain, and this is the merit that's going to stand for the Jewish people. We find something like this. This is the sign. What is it? Something that's going to happen next year. That's the sign and the merit that you're going to succeed this year. Vayomer ki yeimcha. Oh, but this is the sign. Here's the sign that you are going to take the Jewish people on this mountain. What's the sign? Here he says, the OrHaChaim says a very interesting thing here. What was it? What's the sign that you're going to take the Jewish people? What are you saying, Moses? That you're not worthy? I'm going to give you a sign that you are worthy. What's the sign? I have already spoken. I have already decided it. You are going to take the Jewish people out. What's the sign you're going to succeed? The mountain, this mountain. Mount Sinai was a holy mountain. Now, there's other mountains in Israel also. Mount Sinai was in Israel. Mount Sinai, there's other mountains in Israel. By the way, this is a sign, somebody pointed it out yesterday, that the Jewish people did not have to go over the Yam Suf, the Red Sea, whatever they call it. Because here you see Moses just strolled out from wherever he was, and he went to Mount Sinai. He didn't have to cross over any rivers. He went from Egypt, he went to Midian, he went to Sinai. We'll talk about that when we get to Parshas Balotcha in 2 weeks. What's the sign you're going to succeed? Because I'm giving the mountain on Mount Sinai. What does it mean? This is the lowest of all the mountains. I'm not choosing higher mountains. There are higher mountains in Israel. There's Mount Tabor, Mount Hermon. So we can learn that I don't desire, God is saying, you can learn from this that I don't pick the highest things, only the simplest ones, the humblest, like people like you, that you're low and you don't hold with yourself, and this low mountain. And all this is the answer God is giving to Moses. How can I take the Jewish people out of Egypt? And God is saying, exactly because you're so humble and you don't think you can do it, that's the type of person that I want. Moses said to God, behold, I'm going to come into the Jewish people. I'm going to say, the God of your fathers sent me. Then they're going to say, what is his name? What am I going to tell them? Okay, the Lubavitcher Rebbe has a sikh on this, and he says, what Moses is saying to God, I'm going to go to the Jews, and they're going to ask, what is your name? Why did Moshe think the Jews are going to do a thing like that? I mean, if the Jewish people are suffering in Egypt, Moses comes and says, I come from God, right? I'm coming from God. And you're going to get out. What's the first thing the Jewish people should ask? Oh, wow, that's great. You know, we've been waiting. When? When's it going to happen? What do you want us to do? Tell us what we have to do. We'll do it. No, they're going to say, what is God's name? What type of a thing is that? Why is God? You're so sure that that's what the Jewish people are going to ask. So God says, yeah, I will be what I will be. This is what you say to it. This name of God called Ehyeh. Okay, Lubavitcher Rebbe says a little bit differently. He says that he's going to come to the Jewish people and he's going to say, okay, I'm coming from God to take you out. The Jewish people are going to say, listen, there's a lot of different names of God. A lot of different names of God. And each one shows on a different power of God. Tell us, Moshe, what name of God are you coming from? What name of God? This God that you represent, he just allowed Paro to kill tens of thousands of Jewish babies to wash in their blood. What type of a name of that? What power is that of God? What type of a God do you represent? A God that allowed us to suffer for so long. Give us a name. Give us some sort of a name. That's the first thing the Jewish people are going to ask. That's the God we're supposed to be serving, right? That you could take us out. There's going to be more trouble like this. God said, don't worry. Ehyeh asher ehyeh. I am with them. I'm always going to be with them. I get pain from their pain. And this is what the Jews say. And I will take them out. Don't worry, it's all going to be good. So the question still remains, okay, God gets pain and God is going to be with us, but we're all suffering. Who needs a thing like that? So he says, Vayomer od Elokim, God said to Moshe. So the Rebbe has said that this is not God's name. There is a name, there is a name like this, but God is not saying his name. Here he's just telling them, I am the one that's been with you up to now, and I will be with you in the future, and I am with you in all of your trouble. Here it says, Imo anochi b'tzora, where it says. Rabbonu Shalom, what am I going to tell? So Rashi says, I'm with them in this trouble, and I'll be with them in all the rest of the troubles. So Moses said to God, why should I tell them there's going to be more troubles in the future? Enough of the troubles they've got now. So therefore, God said just one time, say only one time, the trouble that they've got now. So God said to him, Yud Kei Vav Kei, that's the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That this is my name, Olam, forever. It says my real name is the name of mercy. Yud Kei Vav Kei. That's the name of God's name, which represents mercy. But what? Zeh Shemi La'olam, forever. But it doesn't say La'olam. The letter Vav is missing here. It says Elem, to conceal. And that's what Rashi says. Zeh Shemi La'olam. It's missing the letter Vav to tell you that this name is now concealed now. But you're going to work, don't worry, it says Zichri, you're going to learn how to say it. You're going to reveal this, like King David said, Hashem Shimcha La'olam, Hashem La'olam, he said also to conceal. That even in the time of King David, when everything was perfect and there was no exile, also back then, God's name was really concealed. Only in the future redemption is it going to be revealed. God says, this is the process. I'm taking you out. There won't be any more suffering like in Egypt, but there is definitely going to be suffering in the future. But I'm telling you how to reveal this name of mercy so that there won't be any more suffering. God's still speaking to Moses, right? Moses is still standing there, barefooted. God says to Moses, go, gather up the elders of the Jews and speak to them and say, Hashem, Yudke Vavke, the God of your forefathers, appeared to me, the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzchak, the God of Yaakov. And he said, Pakod pakadeti etchem, I have visited you, Veta Asui, and what is being done to you now in Egypt. Rashi, OrHaChaim. Rashi says, gather up the special ones of Israel, not just all the old people. I was going to go on and check everybody, do a physical to see if everybody is old. What does it mean, old? Right? Old, some people are 80 years old and they're still healthy, and some people are 50 years old. It means no. The unique ones of the Jewish people, the ones that are really believers, etc. Says, Pakod Pakadati, why did he say, I have visited you? Why twice? This corresponds to the Pakida, the end of this redemption, the end of this exile. I am visiting you to take you out of Egypt, and Pakidatam Mitzoratam, and taking you out of Pakida Ketza Geula. This is referring to the future redemption, that there won't be any more redemptions after it. It's going to be, and also take them out of their difficulties in Egypt. That's what it says. I'm taking you out. Kates, this is talking about taking you out, means the future redemption and what's being done to you right now in Egypt in order to take you out of the difficulties and the tortures that you're in to the land that hinted at. This he hinted to them also, because in addition to what's being done to you in Egypt, Odenuzman Akates, the time of the future redemption had not come yet. You're going to go out of Egypt, that's Pakad, but also Pakadati, there's going to be a future redemption also. And that's what it says, Asui Liforea Mir Mitzrim, I'm going to pay back the Egyptians, or everything that's been done to you. And God said, Eleschem, I will take you out of the poverty and the suffering of Egypt to the land of the Canaani, the land of the Chiti, Amoria, Prisia, Hachivi Yavusi, to the land that is flowing milk and honey, etc. Like he said before. And the Jewish people will listen to your voice. And you will come, and the elders of Israel, to the king of Egypt, and you'll say to him, God, the king Elokei Ivrim, the God of the Egyptians, the God of the Hebrews, Ivrim. Ivrim, why are Jews called Ivrim? Because they come from the other side of the river, and also because they come from Abraham, that the whole world was opposite Abraham. He, the God of the Jews, is now telling you, is now telling us, go to Paro and say, the God of the Jews has spoken. And now we want to go 3 days into the desert, and we want to make sacrifices to our God. The Jewish people listen to what you say. Rashi, the Jewish people will automatically listen because you're going to say in this language that they've been waiting for. What's the language? This was what the sign that God gave to Yaakov, and from Yaakov and from Yosef. That's the language of redemption. Yaakov said to him, Pakod pakadati, Pakod yipoked etchem. Yosef said, Pakod yipoked. Same language, pakod yipoked. God will take you out. Now you come to them. This is the language that they've been waiting for. Now you can say maybe somebody else will fake the language and come to them and tell them. Who's going to come and tell the Jews that they're going to take them out of Egypt, right? No one even dreamed. Even Moses didn't. When God told him to do it, Moses didn't dream it was possible. He said, nobody's going to listen to me. So obviously nobody's going to make it up. He said, God appeared to me. What do you mean casually? This is like the language that he appeared to Bilam. It says appeared. So it's why would he say God appeared to me casually here? Nikra aleinu, that God appeared like casually, sort of like accidentally to me, like he did to Bilam. Well, that's no thing to say. It says because now God was giving a message over to evil enemies of ours, Gentiles that were evil, and so therefore he had to speak to him like Bilam. God just appeared to Bilam like this casual sort of offhanded way. Says God, a sort of a not good, encouraging message over here. Okay, ready? I know that Paro is not going to let you go, and v'lo biyad chazaka, until I show them a hard hand. In other words, Paro is not going to go until I start making these plagues, and even then he's not going to let me go. He's not going to let you go. I'm sorry. Yeah. Sforno, Paro lo yaskim, he's not going to agree to let you go with his own will. And lebakashati, he's not going to agree to what I request. Va'ani e'aseh, and I'm making this shelo yiten etchem laloch, and I'm purposely strengthening his courage and his fortitude. He's not going to let you go. Why? Ki besur ki no, I don't know what this word is. Anyway, he wants, because I want to give him these plagues, therefore I'm strengthening his heart so that he will not have any fear. Because what's the thing of Paro? Paro was a king. All of a sudden the Jewish people is coming and saying, we've got a higher king than you, the king of the universe. So Paro, what's he supposed to say? Oh, okay, so you can go, no problem. The whole workforce of Egypt were these Jews. Now all of a sudden you want to take the whole entire workforce of the whole country out. Not only that, Paro was a king. You can't get just king to come to a king and say, you better listen to me. Paro was going to say, what are you talking about? I'm not going to let you go. And not only that, what are you asking me? If you come from such a powerful God, so let him do it. Let him take the Jews out. He can, he can take me and fly me to Alaska or someone so that I'm not even here. I don't even know what's going on. Take the Jews out and bring me back. God can do whatever he wants to. This is what God wants. Did you get my permission? So I'm not giving my permission. And even when God starts making plagues, Paro is still going to say the same thing. Moses is going to come into Paro and say, okay, there was just a plague of blood. There was just a plague of this. Paro is going to say, why you keep coming into me? You want to take the Jews out? Let your God, instead of wasting all of his time and energy making these plagues, let him just take the Jews out. Let him fly them out or something. It depends. But God wanted Paro with his own free will to send them out. God is saying, Paro is going to refuse. I'm going to put my hand, I'm going to smite the Egyptians with all of my miracles that I'm going to make within them. And afterwards, only after that, I will send you out. Chapter, and I will put grace in the eyes of the people. And when you go, you're not going to go empty-handed. Each woman will ask from the next door neighbor and the non-Jews that are living in their house, vessels of silver, of gold, garments. The garments were worth more than the silver and the gold. And you will put them on your children and on your daughters, and you will empty out all of Egypt. And Vayan Moshe said, listen, the Jews are not going to listen to me. They're not going to hear my voice. They're going to say, God did not appear to you. One second, I'm just looking. Yeah. Oh, it says, what does it mean? Moses is going back to his original argument, according to the OrHaChaim. He says, listen, it's not fit for you to send me at all, not even like offhand. Why did Moses not say this until now? Why did he? Why did he say, the first thing the Jewish people are going to say is, what is the name of God? I'm sorry, 1 minute. Right. He's going to say the Jewish people will say that you didn't appear to me. They won't believe it. Why did Moses all of a sudden come up with this idea first? Before he was saying, I'm not fit. And he's going to say the Jewish people are going to ask, what is your name? He says, because God says, this is what you should tell them. I'm not worried if you believe or not. Because if you would worry for that, then you wouldn't ask for God's name. Shu davar shetekef yomer olav b'zeh shemi. First of all, Moses, he thought, listen, okay, maybe the Jewish people will believe, and they'll just ask, what is God's name? But now, all of a sudden, he thought, 1 second, you know what? I don't even think the Jewish people, he started thinking about it. I don't think the Jewish people are going to believe any of this. God said, okay, listen, what is that in your hand? Moses said, it's a stick. 1 second, excuse me. I went over this before and I wrote down the notes and I just can't read my own writing what I wrote here ago. Oh. What is in your hand? Ma zeh. Ma zeh is mem zeh. Mem is 40. The stick that was in his hand weighed like 40 se'ah. It was very heavy. Another one, mem shana yiyu. Zeh. It's going to be 40 years. You're going to wander with the Jews with the stick for 40 years in the desert. 40. Ma zeh. Zeh is the gematria 12. You are going to wander with the Jewish people for the 12 tribes for 40 years with the staff in your hand. God said, Moses, don't start getting smart with me. If you don't want to do what I say, then you're going to see how the stick is going to do what I say. A stick, I'm telling you to do what I'm saying, and you're trying to get out of it. Watch, even the stick is going to do what I say. Want to see? God said, throw the stick down to the ground. He threw it down to the ground, and it became a snake. And Moses ran away from it. Vayanas, what did he mean? It was a snake that Moses, this is hinting to Moses that he said, Lashon Hora. He spoke negatively about the Jews. What did he say? He said, I'm going to go to the Jews, and they're not going to listen to me. You're trying to do what the snake did. Remember the snake? In the beginning, the snake used his mouth to convince Chava to eat from the tree. Let's go a little bit quicker. And God said to Moses, stick your hand out, grab hold of its tail. And he did. He grabbed hold of it, and behold, it became a staff again. This is Laman Yaminu, that people will believe you that I appeared to you, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And that's the first. There's two more signs that Moses is going to give, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. But I want to talk about this first one first. The God is going to say, okay, now stick your hand into your vest and take it out, and it turns into leprosy. And he said, put it back, and it goes back. And the third one is he's going to say, take out some water and throw it back, and the water turns into blood. That's the third sign. So the first sign is the one of the snake. So the Rebbe says, isn't it very, when he goes to the Jews also, Moses is going to take the stick thing, he's going to do the stick trick with the Jews also. He's going to turn it to a snake. So what type of a trick is that? And why is that going to make them believe in Moses? So it says in Torah, or we'll see, maybe we'll learn this next week, that the snake is representative of all the evil in the world and of Paro. And God is trying to say, take the staff. The staff is like the staff of life. That's like godliness. And throw it onto the ground. It's going to become a snake and it'll go back. God was trying to tell Moses a big hint that you should know that where does the evil in the world come from? It comes from me. And that you have the power to transform it back to its source. It has no evil, has no real true existence on its own. It all comes from holiness. So the fact that Paro was here and his whole nation is here, they're just my creations. Why am I doing it? That's a big question, right? That's a big question. That's what the Jewish people asked. What is God's name? That he makes all this evil in the world. What type of a God is that? So, but don't worry about it. The fact of the matter is that it all comes from me and it's all going to be turned back to holiness, but it requires your efforts, Moses. And we're going to learn about it more, God willing, tomorrow, Moses and the burning bush, and how Moses does succeed in taking the Jewish people out. You should know that this Torah portion, this book of Shemot, at the end of it ends on a very bad note, that finally Moses is convinced, he goes and he sows the Jewish people, and he goes into Paro, and everything works, and all of a sudden everything just gets worse. Paro says, I'm not letting the Jews out. It's only going to get worse. I'm not even going to give them the straw to make the bricks. They've got to look around themselves for straw. And Moses complains to God. He said, Moses says to God, what are you doing, God? I don't understand it. Why are you torturing the Jewish people? And why did you send me? And that things are just getting worse than they were before. And God said, you want the answer? That's going to be next week's Torah portion. Of course, there was an answer. The Jewish people did get out, and we'll also get out from the exile we're in now, hopefully, immediately. Have a good day with Mashiach now. See you tomorrow at 8:15.